question to you is, how would you design a building?
Good question. In my case,
What I love the most about architecture here in Miami, it's art, but in a physical spectrum. It's something that you can see, that you can describe, that there's certain feelings and emotions attached. So what do you think is one of the most important skills or character traits that these successful architects have?
creativity, but at the same time
Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast by Jose Osorio.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jose Osorio, and I have the pleasure of speaking here with Alberto Navarro. This is actually our second episode together, and Alberto, it's a pleasure to have you here again.
The pleasure is all mine.
Thank you so much for inviting me again to the Habitat Group. And well, really this episode is to talk a little bit more about some of your favorite things. I mean, just look at his office. It has beautiful buildings, you have these sculptures, you have a plane, you have everything. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit more today about architecture, the growth of Miami, and a little bit more about the projects here at the Habitat Group. So,
Perfect.
Alberto, welcome. How are you?
You're welcome, and thank you very much for coming. We have just by several conversations, we have become into more friends, right? So thank you for coming again. First of all, in Habitat, we are real estate developers. We develop in the Brico area, the financial district of Miami, and we have a one current project, which you know, Smart Brico. It's under construction right now. It's condo hotel. All we develop is condo hotels, boutique condo hotels, very good taste, and in Brico area, the financial district. We actually have 3 new projects. One is called Season 1, which is it's a great concept, but it's inspired by Four Seasons luxury, but a little more modern. And it's in a boutique scale. Okay, boutique. So that project Season 1 is across the street from the new project of Mercedes-Benz, right across the street from us. And the other project is a Milux Place for you, the young people, a more Instagrammable, more like a nice rooftop, very cool, very chill, millennial type of thing. Exactly, that's why the name Millennial Place. But some adding some coolness and some sophistication as well. And the other one we have is Parkside, which is right next to Simpson Park. That the concept is kind of like the one hotel, like being in a one hotel in South Beach or New York. I mean, more beach, more fresh, just beige colors.
Right, just beach. I mean, Santiago has told us something like Tulum or Cartagena, something
kind of like
more
this,
relaxed.
exactly. Yes. And a nice rooftop with wines and chill and just look at the nice skyline of Brico. So on those 3 projects, we are very excited. Like I said, the 3 of them are condo hotel. Okay. And we are using the architect Kobe Karp, which I think is one of the best architects in Miami. So it's been a pleasure working with him. As you know, I love architecture. And like we were having a conversation, I really love the phenomenon that is happening, that has been happening for several years now in Miami, is to having the presence of works of Starchitects. So architects that are some of the best architects in the world. We have a lot, so I love that. For instance, I think I was mentioning to you that I run across with Louis Berman. Louis Berman, the developer of 1000 Museum, and I had the opportunity to thank him in behalf of Miami because he actually, for those who don't know, 1000 Museum was designed by Zaha Hadid. As you can tell, I like Zaha Hadid a lot, and this is actually 1000 Museum. So I think it was a great addition to Miami, and I thank him because I think bringing those big architects to Miami elevates the culture in Miami. Just like Art Basel elevates the culture in Miami, Art Basel, architecture, and even luxury brands, add some value, a little more sophisticated, bring some sophistication into our market, which I love. But I'm more fan of the Starchitects. So they are great Starchitects actually that have their works already. Like I mentioned, Zaha Hadid is one of my favorites. We have Bjarko Ingels. He's a Danish architect. At one point, he was considered the most innovative architect of our time.
Wow!
By a magazine, and I got to meet him in person actually, Bjarko Ingels, because he did the design of Grova Grand Bay, the two twisting, we call it the dancing towers. Exactly. It was developed by Terra, which I had the opportunity to meet him and have a conversation with him about architecture. is one of the best, even though he has a very heavy Danish accent.
Yes.
But that doesn't matter because the passion. But he's one of the best public speakers that I've seen. Because when we were talking, he talks with such a passion about the architecture, the way he describes the areas, the spaces, the designs, the lines, and everything. It's amazing. So then after that, I became a fan as a public speaker, and then I started to follow him. And every time that he delivers a speech about a project, it's amazing. And he's very young. Well, when I met him, he was like 35 years old. Very, very young. Very obviously extremely smart.
That drive, that passion, and what I love the most about architecture here in Miami, I mean, in other places, in other cities, is that it's art, but in a physical spectrum.
Exactly.
It's something that you can see, that you can describe, that there's certain feelings and emotions attached to it.
Absolutely, and elevates the character of the city, the character, the culture of the city. So it goes beyond just a piece of art, which I love, a painting, a nice painting, just so in the museum. But the fact that everybody sees that piece of art, that is amazing. I agree with you.
No,
and some of the other mentions that I would like to do, for example, Norman Foster is one of the best. He's a British architect, and he designed the Faena House. Not the hotel, because that's Art Deco. But Faena House is beautiful. Looks kind of like a yacht.
Yes.
The balconies look like
the
from a big
penthouses over there are expensive as well.
Yeah. You should buy it. You will someday.
One day.
I'm sure you will. So that's architecture by Norman Foster. Across the street, Rem Koolhaas. He's from Netherlands. Rem Koolhaas. So the building, actually, the same developer, Faena. He developed across the street. It's like a event place, like the building across the street. So I think that's great. And also Renzo Piano in a project called 89 Park, which is by Surfside, near Surfside. That's amazing. Also, I got to meet Renzo Piano. I have a photo with him and everything. He was obviously very impressive architect. A little more serious, more than Bjarko Ingels, but I was his Renzo Piano.
And one question based on this, because I did prepare a couple questions, but now that we're having a conversation about that, what do you think is one of the most important skills or character traits that these successful architects have?
I think maybe from the business perspective is because there's always a little friction, developer with architect. No, I don't want to say friction. It's more like a resistance, because the architect, he wants to fly, right? He wants to fly and do the creative thing, and the developer, he wants to have a very nice, a very distinctive design. However, it's about budget. So sometimes that tension is about the budget. So I think, for example, what Kobe Carp does very well is that he adapts. He's very, very creative. He has great designs, but at the same time, he has the business mind of saying, okay, I'm going to adapt to what the vision of the developer. Correct. And many of the developers, I think, many of the big architects have been, and I also have had another experience with a big developer from my city in Guadalajara, Mexico. He hired Frank Gehry, precisely. Frank Gehry is one of my favorite architects. So he hired him, but he didn't participate in the project because because he wanted to do whatever he wants to do. So I think having that the creativity, but at the same time that the way of doing business and adapting to also to the developer who is actually putting the money. So I think that it has to be that balance. But that's from the business perspective. From the design, I'm not an expert in design, but I'm just a big fan, just but the fact that to do something that creates some illusion of movement. That's for my taste. For instance, I feel like this moves, like Frank Gehry's work. I feel like moves, like
similar to like the wave of the ocean.
Exactly.
That's kind of how, or the wind.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
And I imagine that's how they got inspired to do those buildings in the first place.
Absolutely, yeah. They look for all the elements and they put them together. But it's important also to have some respect to the areas of where that's going to be. But it has an iconic feel to it. So I think with all those elements, I think you create an iconic building.
Okay.
And also talking about some other architects, I like one from Mexico, Enrique Norten. He did a project in south of Fifth, Enrique Norton, who was Herzog and de Miro. Herzog and de Miro. I don't know if you've seen on Lincoln Road. There's a weird looking parking space
Yes,
that right across the
yes.
street from the movie theater. That's really cool. It's commercials, high end commercial space, very cool. Parking, but actually that parking they use it for fashion shows, for big events in Art Basel.
Okay.
So it was made like that to do events in the parking. So, but that's kind of cool. And on top, the developer, he has his very big penthouse with a very nice views.
I love
so,
it.
so that architecture was Herzog and de Miro. They are from these are two guys from Switzerland. And they also did the signature, what is the name? The Jade signature in Sony Isles as well.
Jade signature.
Exactly.
I used to live in front of that building every single day.
Wow,
And I
nice.
used to tell my dad, we're going to live there one day because
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. I mean,
I love it. It's
just
one of my favorite
moves,
buildings.
Yeah, and it has like a column in the middle. I don't
Right.
know. I love it. It's
Amazing
gorgeous.
architecture, yeah. And actually, right next door is Carlos Ott. Is the I think it's called Muse. Yeah, the building is Muse.
Muse.
Yeah, it's very very lean,
Yeah.
but it has a twist to it. And the bottom, I love
Yes.
that. On the
I mean,
top,
they remind me like the ones in New York in 57th Street and Billionaires Row.
exactly.
They look very, very
exactly.
similar.
But the only thing, to be honest, is just personal taste. That building, in my taste, it doesn't really belong to Sony Isles. I think it will belong to maybe Brico. And actually, Eco was also done for by the architect by the same architect, Carlos Ott.
Okay.
And actually, my building where I live, it was designed by Carlos Ott. But it's not as luxurious as any of those
That's
buildings.
why you live there.
Yeah, it had a big influence that it was Carlos Ott, but it was not one of the super luxurious buildings.
Okay.
But it's okay, I'm happy with it. But it has very nice designs. Every time that I arrive, it's like I like the designs of the building. It's
Okay,
new.
and tell me more about some of your favorite designs. I mean, worldwide in different cities, and then specifically in Miami as well.
Perfect. One of my favorite designs is one recent that I really like is Aston Martin. There's a residence Aston Martin. I think it's amazing. It became into the most iconic building in Miami. And I love it. Coming from a boat, when you're in a boat and you see it, it's spectacular. I think I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's Luis Revuelta, which I call our local Starchitects. There are a couple of architects that are really very relevant. But like one of my favorites is Luis Revuelta, the one that used to be the Espiritu Santo Plaza here in Brico. Now it's called Brico Arch. I love that building. I used to live across in a building called Infinity when I was new. And as soon as you walked into my condo, that was my centerpiece. It was that piece of art. Now it's called Brico Arch. And in the back, I would see the bay. So that was a beautiful entrance to my condo. And I really love that. So I think Luis Revuelta, he actually did what is the name? Santa Maria building. It's very kind of like old-fashioned, but at the same time, I think it's one of our Starchitects. Another one that obviously Kobe Karp, and mainly because he's very versatile,
right?
And he actually works with the developer very well. That's what he's the most prolific architect in Miami. I like also Oppenheim as well. And to answer your questions, going back, the Aston Martin, Martin, I love precisely 1000 Museum.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And Frank Gehry's, the Bilbao Guggenheim Museum, and this one, the Walt Disney Concert Hall. That's dear to me because I like classical music, so that's kind of like all the arts together for me.
Right. Like for example, 1000 Museum, as you guys can see here on the screen, it looks like I'll show you guys here. It looks like a rocket, for example. It even looks maybe like a needle. Yeah. I don't know. It's a combination, and some people have said it kind of looks like a whale in a way. I don't know. I love architecture as well, but it's one of the most beautiful designs. And then this one that you told me here, it looks like a combination of whale and winds, and it's beautiful. And then you have the Burj Khalifa.
The Burj Khalifa, I love the Burj Khalifa.
The Empire State. You have the Chrysler building.
My favorite. That's my favorite. That's a classic. Chrysler building is my favorite. Taipei 101. And actually, the person who gave me this book for my birthday, I used to be part of a big project called Vertical City.
You can show it on the screen.
Vertical City. It was many years ago. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. The developer passed away. It's a long story, but it was a fascinating story. But we were going to develop this one. and actually, the guy that gave me this book for my birthday, it was the best structural engineer in the world. His name is Dennis Poon. He's the CEO and chairman of Thornton Tomasetti. That's a big structural engineering firm worldwide, but they are based in New York. So he's the one who gave me that. But it was great because when he gave it to me, then he sat down in my office and he started flipping the pages, and I did this building, I did this building, one of them, it was Taipei 101. Back then, it was the tallest building in the world. He did the Petronas Towers and in the Taipei 101. So like a lot of buildings but he was like very humble about it. Was like, okay, yeah, I did. Like he mentioned like 15 buildings and closed the building. Okay, happy birthday, bye. I was like,
wow, that's unbelievable. That's a beautiful tower as well. And then you have the Sears Tower over there, in Chicago.
I love that. Yeah. Empire State, but still, I think the most classic, is the Chrysler Building. Is probably remains to be my favorite
elegant.
One. Exactly. So when you think in classic New York, more than the Empire State, I really like to see the Chrysler Building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Alberto, I know that you mentioned that you're working with Corby Corp right now, here in the Habitat Group. How has that been, that experience working with such a great architect here in Miami?
Yeah, although I don't directly, because I'm not the developer. I don't directly. I know. I happen to. I'm friendly with him. He was actually involved with the Vertical City. With the second,
really?
Not in this design because there was a Boston friend, Carlos Ferre. He did that design, but they are from Boston. And actually, his father, Maurice Ferre, he was the precursor, the first, the visionary that thought of creating Brico. So he was the mayor. He was the mayor of Miami. So Brico started because of his father. So now he's a very good friend of mine. But after, we had to reinvent ourselves, the project and everything, and we hired Kobe Cart. So in my experience, I don't deal directly with him, but only the developer. But in the experience is what I was mentioning, the fact that he's a very, very smart guy, very creative. But in a way that he adapts to the developer. He creates that balance of creativity and pleasing also the developer and being adjusted to the budget. That's what I have seen from him. He's a great businessman as well. So I think that's why he's so prolific, and in essence, he's a great guy. When I met in his office a couple of times ago, he wants to refer me people. He picks up the phone, calls the big developers like that. For example, I forgot the name of the developer of the Four Seasons in Surfside, but I went to his office. That was several years ago, and I told him, hold on, let me call. He made a call, and he started talking to somebody, and he gave me the phone. Here's the guy, the developer of Four Seasons. I was like, oh my God, I was not ready. But that the kind of guy he is. He's a great guy. I really like him. So it's been a pleasure, and everybody that has worked with him, I have nothing but great things to say about the Kobe Carp.
Okay. And is there any designs that you're very excited about in the future here in Miami?
I wish they were because the vision of this developer, when I was, it seems like I'm doing a commercial for this, right? It's not, but I kind of stuck to it. Yeah. The fact that this was going to be a vertical city. This project was going to be a very tall building and a vertical city. But back then, I think Miami wasn't ready. They would honestly, they would look at us like we were crazy. However, when we went to New York, another ball game. We got a lot of credibility. I mean, the business plan, we showed the business plan and they reviewed it and everything. Just so we gained a lot of credibility, mostly from New York. And actually, when it comes to finance, to investment, it was New York, Chicago. Very few investors that I was able to bring that they actually put the venture capital. But I would like to see something self-sustainable because it was going to be a vertical city comprised with the 2 hotels, and I was able to bring Raffles hotels, for instance.
Oh, wow.
Raffles, that was my job. Raffles, and back then they had just acquired Swiss hotels, so that was my job. Okay, so in 2 we had one luxury hotel and one business hotel. That was needed. Then the indoor theme park, that was the best. That was the best part of the I think that calls for another conversation because it's fascinating. Sure. I have a lot of videos, but anyway, I think that is lacking. I mean, because this was going to become a destination. It was about tourism. It was not about real estate. It was more about tourism. But like I said, that's another conversation. But I would love to see something that is iconic, that is self-sustainable, that is an actually vertical city. I would love to see that in Miami. So it's still, yeah.
And these are really good points that I've heard a lot of big developers making, like Steve Ross. He always talks about this, about having that live, work, and play environment inside of these spaces, you know, having a square, then having a mixed-use building, then the residential, and then you have the office tower where everything revolves together. And I think that Miami in the future, they need more of these spaces, similar to how Brickell City Center completely changed the space.
Exactly.
And how 600 World Center and that whole space and the Miami World Center is going to change
creates great
downtown
synergy,
Miami.
great synergy, and most important is that it becomes a destination. Everybody now, in the past, for example, Brickell many years ago, I lived in Brickell. From Monday to Friday was busy, but then in the after 7 p.m. it was a ghost town. The weekends it was boring as hell. But because of many factors, but I think mainly because of the development of Brickell City Center, it has become a destination. Now, come in a weekend, come to Miami, to Brickell area, it's very hard to get in. So it has become a destination, and that's actually one of the reasons also that we have done so well on our projects, because all of our projects is our condo hotel. So our hotel, even though now it's the low season, remains in a very high occupancy rate. Very high occupancy rate, because we also have, besides the normal tourists, we get a lot of the corporate tourists. Let's say, so visitors that come to a corporation, they stay a couple of weeks or a month for training, for business. So they stay in a place that they want to walk over. In our case, our condo hotel is not a room. You can actually cook light things, but that's been. We are getting like 15 million tourists a year in Brickell. 26 in the entire Miami, but 15 come to Brickell. So that's, I think we're in the right market.
Yeah. And in terms of international banks, there's I think so many. Bank Santander, Vivienda from Colombia. I mean, something I went there last week down in Brickell Avenue. I was like, I only see this in Colombia. Why is it here? Right. So it's just that whole aspect of, international, domestic people coming here as well. It's completely a game changer.
And actually, we are number one in international banks nationwide, more than New York. International banks. I'm not saying there are more banks here than New York. No, more international banks are here in Miami. We have over 200, and that's been for many years. It's not on this wave of, because as you know, we are experiencing a tremendous growth of Brickell. But that was from many years ago. We had like 200 international banks, so we're number one. Yeah.
I mean, I have a strong prediction, but I think Miami is the future of America. I really think it is, because there can be crashes throughout the whole United States in terms of economy and even the real estate market, but here it has its own market on its own.
Absolutely.
Because it's the verge of international, of South America, all together under one place, where you have the ports, you have Brickell downtown, all that area, and the beach that's growing, Sunny Isles, Aventura, Dania Beach, Hallandale. I mean, all the projects that they're doing.
Absolutely.
I heard a quote the other day. There's around 96 new developments and new constructions from all the way from Coconut Grove all the way down to West Palm Beach.
How many?
96.
96, wow.
Yes,
wow.
Because over here between Brickell and downtown is around, 36 to 40? Yeah, but in the whole half of the beach, it's over 96. And then...
Interesting.
I heard this in the new, the Real Deal last week, that now they're submitting the bid for Vanderbilt University to go to West Palm Beach, where Steve Ross is going to develop that whole space as well.
Yeah,
so now you're creating, a really nice aspect.
Absolutely. And to support what you're saying, besides that, because now Miami has become beyond just having a nice quality life and the beach and the parties and the restaurant. It does used to be Miami. Even when I first and I was okay with it. It was fun. Not gonna lie to you. But however, it's becoming more like we had a conversation before. It has become like a more serious financial area. And where companies are actually moving to Brickell, like I mentioned, like for example, we talk about Blackstone Group opening big offices in Brickell, BlackRock, those are trillionaire companies, Kaseya, Microsoft, and Citadel, which has the more, and now he hires, Citadel, they are going to develop their headquarters in Miami. And right on Brico, actually, on Brico, in our market. So they are following us. That's why they are following.
Yeah.
So, so he actually is the one who hired Norman Foster. That's how we started the conversation in
Everything
architecture.
is connected. Everything is connected.
Absolutely. So most companies are coming. He moved Citadel headquarters from Chicago to Miami. So that's a great economic impact for the city. So that, and also because of some tax, we don't pay state tax, and obviously to attract them, they had obviously a good deal. But the economic impact that they create is tremendous. It's not only because they are bringing like nearly 1,700 high executives. That means per every executive, I think there's a ratio of at least six supporting employees. And also, not only that, there are companies that they are consultants, they serve Citadel, so they will be coming, that will be like, still a great economic impact. So
yeah, and I had a question to follow up with that. What are the factors in terms of developers and architects that you've worked together with them to develop these mixed-use projects or residential or corporate towers, keeping in mind that we're living in a sustainable and more technological world? How do you build that?
I think the way I see it is that there's got to be a common ground, like I mentioned, with developer with architects to where the creativity is enhanced, but at the same time the budget and it makes sense and the bottom line to the developer, and because also creating self-sustainable. It seems very easy, but it is very expensive. It's very expensive, and it's still some risk to it.
Right.
So I think, they need to really, really work together in that sense. Yeah.
Okay, and in terms of Miami or everything that involves architecture, anything else you would like to share that you think would be important for the audience?
I think, I think like I mentioned, I think like having those architects here, they elevate the culture of the city. I think it makes it more iconic and more elevates our level worldwide. So I think I'm very happy of that phenomenon. And
Okay, perfect. And my last question to you is, how would you design a building? What would be, that the whole structure look like? How would that be?
Good question. In my case, I'm not a developer. I'm the part of the development firm here, but I'm not the real developer. But if I were a developer, maybe in the future, if I have the choice, I think it could be something for what similar to what I've seen, but more sustainable. More like the destination type of that includes some culture as well. I would love to see places for concert, for classical music, or an amphitheater, at least in the project. Which in the project that I was talking about, we had an amphitheater outside.
Oh, okay.
So for concerts and that type of thing. So a place of culture where everything is together. Some shopping, luxury brands as well. That's nice. But having a little more culture. That's more and more into culture, more galleries, a place where, and that was also the kind of like the vision, to have a place where a lot of galleries can be there. Obviously restaurants, condominiums, offices, or a place that actually there's a vertical city. You can actually live there. You don't need to go out for have a shopping center, everything. That would be my dream project. That would be something like that.
Yeah, no, I love to hear that. And based on everything that you said, for example, the Time Warner Center in New York, they have a jazz amphitheater, and Mayor Rudy Giuliani at that time, he demanded for that to happen, so it can have this combination.
That's funny that you mentioned that.
Music and all that, and culture.
It seems like I'm doing a commercial on this, but when I was in this project, we got to meet with Rudy Giuliani in New York, and he mentioned that.
Oh, he mentioned.
He did mention that. I swear. That's funny that you're saying it right now. But we went to his office that he was in love with this project. He was going to be our spokesman. And I remember that time the developer say, Mr. Giuliani, I would love for you to be our partner. And he said, no, I would love to, but I have a political. No. He said, I have some other aspirations, if you know what I mean. So back then is when he was thinking in running for president. He did a terrible job, to be honest, in his campaign. But well, that's another story. But back then he was Mr. Right after 9/11. The way he handled the situation, it was heroic. But I wasn't, and also I got I'm trying to remember the name of the developers for that one. No, some part of the development, I think they raised a private equity. We toured the building. I mean, when it was under construction with Helmet,
Yes.
with Time Warner, under construction, we toured that building with the developer. And it was a great experience. It's one of my favorite actually places in New York. It's in Columbus Circle, and there's I think this I don't know if it's still there, but it's a Whole Food. That's where they grow fresh.
Whole Foods,
And
it's a
everything.
vertical
You don't need to
mall
leave.
too. No,
You don't need to leave.
Yeah, it's a concept of 15-minute cities. If you've heard about that as well. Yeah.
Okay.
It's another.
That's my favorite type of development. That if I had to choose, it would be something like that, or boutique condo hotels in Brickell.
Perfect. One last question
Sure.
in one sentence. Is there an area in Miami that you could see potentially having a project like this one that's vertical, that's mixed use, that combines culture and art and everything together? Any areas or geographical?
I would say maybe downtown, because Brickell is already saturated, unfortunately, for those, because that's got to be something big. Maybe Edgewater. However, I would love to see that building on the water. That would be ideal. But I think there are some fewer areas that still have some potential. But I think mostly Edgewater or downtown.
Okay, perfect. Well, Alberto, it was a pleasure to have you here today. I think we had a
Pleasure was
wonderful
mine.
conversation. I learned a lot about architecture and development, and it really means a lot because I'm learning as I go, and I think this is a great experience for you, for me, and for everyone that's listening. For sure.
It's been a great experience. It's been really fun. I even forgot that we were recording, to be honest.
Yes.
Because when you talk about things that you are passionate about, it's for I can continue talking, but I don't want to.
Yeah, we don't want to bore you guys. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much, and just come back soon, my friend.
Thank you so much. So,
excellent,
guys, if you guys are interested in more information about the Habitat Group, the EB5 program that we have here, and the future developments in the Habitat collection here, please contact me. My name is Jose Osorio. My phone number is 786-318-9083. And Alberto, where can the people find you?
Okay, well, my name is Alberto Navarro, Habitat Group. My phone number is 305-766-8644. My email is anavarro@habitatgroup.com. Highly recommend to reach out to Jose so we can coordinate a Zoom or a meeting if you're interested in learning more about our program.
Absolutely. Well, guys, have an amazing day and enjoy this Development and Architecture podcast.
Thank you so much.